Good morning, church family. This is David Wright, and I'm delighted this morning to be able to talk to you a little bit about Genesis 45. Um, you've heard the story already part of the week about Joseph and his family and how his brothers wanted to kill him, but they couldn't go through with that, so they ultimately sold him off into slavery in Egypt. And how well Joseph did in those terrible circumstances, both in a private home and then being sent to a prison and ultimately taken out of the prison after interpreting a dream and going to work for Pharaoh, as it was, as you might say, the Pharaoh's chief operating officer. Um, Joseph just was a man who had obviously a lot of intellect and a lot of talents, but he was also certainly close to his God. So now he's working under Pharaoh and running the whole company. As we pick up in chapter 5, we see that Joseph encounters his brothers, the very brothers who tried to do away with him. Frankly, they were jealous of him and they didn't want him to live anymore, but they couldn't do that. So those were the brothers who sent him into enslavement. Joseph encounters them, and at first he didn't let them know who he was. He had changed, he had grown, and they didn't know who he was. But ultimately, he revealed himself unto them, and then the brothers were absolutely petrified that Joseph was going to absolutely just probably kill him. That's what they thought. And frankly, Joseph certainly he didn't have the right, but I'm sure he could have had rights to think about that. But instead, what Joseph did, he did the opposite. He embraced them. As a matter of fact, when he let them know who he was, he went over to one of the brothers and laid his head on his shoulders, and he actually wept. He wept from joy, and he wept from excitement, and he wept, I think, in praise of God. But the point about this whole chapter is that Joseph had every reason to hold a terrible grudge against his brothers, and instead he took another tack in that he didn't do that. I think, as I said, Joseph was a man of God, and I think Joseph was led by God in this. And our lesson out of all of this is that forgiveness is the way to go. Forgive those who have wronged us. We can be bitter. We can hate them. We can plot to get even with them. We can do all sorts of negative things. But like Joseph, what we should do is first we should pray, and then go to those that we're holding that grudge against and forgive them. Forgiving them takes a burden off of us. Uh, and that, I think, is the point of this, that as Joseph not only forgave his brothers, he looked after their welfare. He was interested in helping them. He was interested in being their protector. He didn't want to hold a grudge, and he didn't want to have to carry that weight. He wanted to know their attitude. He wanted to help them. As a matter of fact, he helped them obtain food in this case. And so what we need to know is that we just need to trust that God has a higher purpose for us, and we don't need to hold bitterness against anyone in our heart. We just need to forgive. Have a great day.